Well, hello, internet friends near and far. Welcome to another episode of Parks and Conversation. This is a podcast where we watch an episode of Parks and Recreation and then we talk about it. And the we involved in this includes myself. I'm Jason, and I'm joined all the way across town by the power of the internet by my friend Jeremy. Say hello, Jeremy.
Hey, how's it going, Jason?
Oh, man, it is going well. We haven't done a weather report in a while, and it is January in the Pacific Northwest, and today is like the perfect January day.
How so?
Well, it's not raining, but it's brisk and clear. Ah, I love it. I have a fire going in my fireplace on purpose, and so my house will warm up as the sun sets. It's going to be a great evening. So I'm excited.
Sweet. Got it all planned out.
How are you doing, Jeremy?
I'm good. I'm excited to do another episode of Parks and Conversation.
Wow, awesome. Perfect. The check's in the mail.
To talk about talk about this episode, second chunts.
Chunts. That's one of those words that is like, I don't think that's something we should say. Chunts.
Oh, man, you chunced it up again.
Yeah. Oh, that guy's a real chunts. So,
take a chunts. Yeah.
Why don't you just do a quick, what's the overview of this episode? What's the main thing that's happening? Or things?
Leslie wants to take Dexhart's, she wants to run against Dexhart for his position on the city council because he's done a scandal. Because of course there is, and she's like, how can I lose? I mean, and yeah, so she's telling people, and a couple people don't think it's a great idea.
Right. Yeah. So that's what the second chance is all about. And we'll get to that later with the hostage note. We also have Tom settling out on his company, finally getting all the payments, and is trying to come up with a new idea for his business, and then we also have Chris and Ann trying to find the gender of their baby. So it's a real hoot and holler. So this is what I would suggest. Chris and Ann's story is basically on its own, so let's go with that one, and then come back around, focus on Tom, and then we'll finish out with Leslie's story. Sound good?
Okay. Yeah, sounds great.
All right. We have this great cold open, though, and it's not really tied to any story other than the fact that Andy's back. They finished filming Guardians of the Galaxy, so Andy Dwyer could come back to Parks and Recreation, but he is flown back from London, and he has crazy jet lag, and so he's sleeping differently than April. And there's a pretty great montage of him being off schedule, falling asleep at terrible places. My favorite, though, is when he's mowing the lawn at 2 a.m. and April comes out frustrated, and then he says, "Can you give me a beer?" And she says, "Okay."
Well, I guess.
Okay, which I don't really drink beer. Or anything other than water and Coke Zero and coffee and sometimes tea. And I'll have an eggnog latte from time to time, but I don't drink alcohol. And I've never had the desire to mow the lawn and drink a beer at the same time. Is this a common occurrence that I'm not aware of?
I don't know. I think it's yard work, hot, sweaty, light, beer kind of thing. I had a boss long time ago who would mow. He had a large chunk of property, and he would get on his riding lawnmower. But before he did, he would go out and put beer out in the spots where he knew that by the time he finished one, he could reach down and pick up another one. Like he knew exactly where he'd run out. So that's a riding lawnmower. So I don't know how thirsty you get doing that. I've never had one. We had goats, and when they drank beer, it was crazy.
So how many DUIs did this boss have in real life?
Well, none, because he was on his own property. But boy, howdy, but, as the mowing went, the yard got. I mean, he missed some spots. Let's just say.
It's like, well, I don't know if I left some beer there last time.
Don't want to run it over.
Man, one of the hardest things about having a child do chores around the house is having to teach them how to do chores around the house. And mowing the lawn is one of the most frustrating things because it's like, I'm glad that you're doing this, but you're terrible at it.
They're going to say one of the most frustrating parts of teaching kids to do chores around the house is redoing the chores around the house.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, it's just so much easier if I just do it. But then at the same time, then I want you to live someplace else someday. So I got to prepare you to do that. So,
Well, and what's the point of having kids if they can't mow the lawn? I mean,
right?
help out, man. Let's go.
Yeah. I mean, they try. It's cute. So so April is frustrated with him falling asleep, and she finally is like, I'm just gonna spray him with the hose inside, which is a great idea. And Andy wakes up and he realizes like, oh man, I fell asleep. I'm trying. And April's like, you got to get on the right schedule. And then he realizes like, were you gonna spray me with the hose? And he's like, now I want you to do it. So and then they have a little water fight in the house, which I don't know. I don't know if I would ever let my kids do this, but I know I did this to my house with my parents growing up.
Wait, for
We had a
real?
lot. Yeah, oh yeah, we had a lot of water fights in the house, but we also didn't have cable.
Oh my
so
word!
this never happened for
That's
you.
why cable. That's why cable got so popular, I guess. Right?
Yeah, like if they just sit down and watch Nickelodeon all day, they won't necessarily do water fights in the house.
As cable subscriptions rose, water fights and houses went down. So
I think so. Yeah.
No,
There's a
we never.
different
Oh my
correlation.
gosh, we would have gotten destroyed if we had a water fight in the house. We could barely have
Yeah.
water fights outside.
No, we were a pretty free flowing family. Get it?
No. Wow. Get it? I see. I see what you did there. Wow.
Yeah, my dad's a prankster, and one of the things he would do, you've been to my parents' house. They have a bathroom that, like, then on the back of the house, there's a deck that goes along the whole back of the house, and he would take the screen off of the bathroom window while people were in there and we didn't have a fan, so we had to have the window open. He would take the screen off, and then like, because you can't see the window's high enough, you can't see anything in the bathroom. And he would run a hose into the shower while you're in there, and then he would just turn the water on. And it's like you're in a hot shower, but then there's this freezing cold water. It was fun times. It was a fun times growing up.
It was like Danny LaRusso and Karate Kid.
Exactly like it. Exactly.
Where he dresses up as a shower. You know what I'm talking about, right?
I do. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. I love that movie less and less the older I get. But anyway.
Yeah, LaRusso's kind of the worst. Anyway.
Yeah, he is. So so that's the cold open.
Water
it's
fight.
Fun. Water fight. The story continues though. Let's jump over to Chris and Ann. They're at Dr. Saperstein's office, and he is answering the phone in a very menacing way because he settled out Tom's payment and left a note from the lawyer to say that basically, I won, you suck, turn note over. And on the back it said, you still suck. And so
turn the paper over.
Yeah.
Again, it's just a loop.
Yes. So Saperstein is on the phone. He's like, is it done? Well, how many times did you turn the paper over? Well, that's disappointing because he didn't turn it over again. So
is it done? Like it's a hit.
Yeah. And like the way that it's shot in that is so great because it's like a zoom up on just Saperstein's mouth. And so unless you knew his voice, it'd be like, what is this? And then and then backs up. It's like, oh yeah, it's the Fonz, of course. So so Saperstein is excited for Chris and Ann, and he says their baby is the most symmetrical fetus he's ever seen, which and they could be a superhero. And Chris is like just so elated by the perfection of their baby. You can see it in his face. And he says, we should hate you because you destroyed our friend's business. And you were just on a phone call with the lawyer destroying our friend's business. But we love you so much. And Anne and Chris are just so excited. And Saperstein's like, I'm lovable. So I
he's
love this.
he's the Fonz. He's a national treasure.
Yeah. I mean, Henry Winkler is, I've never seen anything with Henry Winkler. I was like, I wish he wasn't in this. Like he makes
Yeah,
everything better.
yeah, that's a good point.
And he I he he's even like a huge Kansas City Chiefs fan. Huge. And this season he finally met Patrick Mahomes, and Mahomes came over before a game and like gave him a jersey, and like you could see like a man who was at one point the most famous man in America was fanboying over Patrick Mahomes. Like Henry Winkler's awesome. He's a cool dude. So anyway, so he asks, would you guys like to know the sex of the baby? And they're like, oh, we don't know. So he writes it down and he says, when you're ready, you can open it and find the sex of the baby. And Chris is like, oh, it's like the Oscars. But then Anne, who's also very hungry and very pregnant, was like, we need to get out of here. We need to eat. So they go to the restaurant and they're talking about what they're anticipating. And Chris like it'd be great if it was a girl, and Anne's like, tiny dresses, braids, glitter on everything, forget it. So she has some positives and then some negatives on a girl, and then some different names for the girl: Daisy, Annabelle, Lily, Olive, Rosemary, Chicken, 50 burritos. This is my daughter, 50 burritos. And so Anne is like, I'm so hungry. And she sees the server come by. Like, if you don't bring us our appetizer in the next 30 seconds, I'm going to plunge your face. Oh no, sorry, my notes cut off.
Into a deep fryer.
There it is. Thank you. I was like, what's the joke? Oh, I killed it. Yeah. And then Chris,
yeah.
Go ahead.
Nope.
Chris has also 2 waters, please, but no hurry.
Two waters.
Yeah. So then they get some food, and Chris says, I would be thrilled if we had a boy. And I have perfected the art of shaving the human face, and I'd love to be able to pass that on. And Anne's list is toy trucks, superhero costumes, tiny little acorn penis. Forget it.
Forget it.
So weird. And so, yeah. And Chris,
she's a nurse.
She is. And he's like, that's a weird image, but one that does not diminish my enthusiasm. So they decide to look at the note, and they open it. And Chris says, we are having a distributions. And then it's like, what? He's like, I can't read it. And so they pass it over. It says congratulations. Then it says, I leg smurf. Are we having a smurf? And then Chris tries 11 joule toilet. And yeah, so they're like, I can't figure this out. And so he calls Dr. Saperstein, and Anne is like, I'm going to call Domino's. Do you think Domino's delivers to this restaurant? And Chris finds out that Saperstein's out for the rest of the day, and it just cuts to his face. He's like, I've literally never been more stressed out, which would be stressful. I get it. So they drive to Dr. Saperstein's house. It's a Saturday morning now, I think. Yeah, Saturday, 6 in the morning. And Anne's like, we couldn't read your writing. We need to know the sex of our baby. And Saperstein's like, I'm watching cartoons with my son. And then John Ralphio comes out like, Daddy. And Elmer Fudd is on. And Daddy. And so he introduces himself to Anne and Chris. And they know him. He's like, I'm John Ralphio. I live in the guest house. He calls Chris beautiful. And then he hits on Anne. He says, why don't we get together in a special way? And she says, I'm pregnant. The more the merrier. John Ralphio is so awful. And then he points at Chris, says, with my baby, you can come too, beautiful. Look at that. I guess sometimes I call men beautiful too. And then he sings, I guess I'm open-minded as hell. I think you're good looking. So
and Chris takes the compliment in stride. He's like, oh, yeah, that's nice.
Yeah. So they give the note to Saperstein, and he's like, it looks like the chicken that wrote this had a stroke on the paper. Yeah, Dr. Saperstein is the chicken who had the stroke. And he's like, I can't figure out. I don't want to say what's wrong. So give me 15 minutes. So he gets dressed and they go, and then John Ralphio says, "Have a good day, have a good day at work today, Daddy." Also, somehow the TV keeps ordering porn when you're not here, like a lot. So just so you know, that's what's happening. So John Ralphio, the worst. And so they get to the office, and Chris and Ann are excited, a little nervous. And Chris says, "Boy or girl, it doesn't matter, because it will literally be the greatest child who has ever lived." And Ann's like,
Mhm.
"All right, you swear no preference?" "Yes." "You have no, not at all?" Cypress comes in, and it's a boy, and they're like, "Yes!" They both are so excited. And Anne says, "I didn't have a preference. I just wanted it to be a boy." And Chris says, "Me too." So, which that's a preference, friends. So anyway, and then Dr. Stapperstein says, "Would you be interested in adopting my children?" They're in their late 20s and they're terrible. I ask all my clients. And they say no. So yeah, so Anne and Chris, they're gonna have a boy. So exciting. So exciting, Anne and Chris. We're proud of you.
Congratulations on your Smurf.
Congratulations on your Navi from Avatar 2, The Way of Water. I never saw
Great. You
Avatar.
just dated the podcast, man.
I know, yeah. I mean, they narrowed it down enough to know that it was in January, because I said that earlier. But that could be any year of January.
Exactly. They're like, wow, Avatar 6 has come out. So when was this? Yeah, this makes
Oh
sense.
my word! Please, please, Lord Jesus, let there be no more avatars.
Well, they already
Amen.
shot the third one.
Well, maybe they'll shoot it into the sun.
Where did they shoot it? Right in the face.
Let me know if I can shoot it out into the universe for them. So that's that story. Let's jump over to Tom's story. He's meeting with Trevor, the lawyer for Saperstein, and gets the note and all that stuff. And Tom's like, "Oh, so Saperstein couldn't even face me himself?" And Trevor says, "My client isn't at this meeting because he doesn't have to be. Successful people, Mr. Haverford, use their money to get others to work for them." And so Tom's like, "That's a good idea, lawyer dude. What if I give you $5 to put a bag of poop on Saperstein's car?" No. So, well, what's the ballpark? $10,000. I like that Trevor had a number pretty
Great.
quickly. So, and he's like, "Counteroffer. Why don't you just do it for the story?" Which is a good counteroffer. I like Tom's negotiating tactic here.
Yeah, it went down essentially because like he would have had $10 and the story still. So now he just lost $10.
Right.
Or $5. $5.
Yeah. But at that point, like, a story is more valuable than $5, I think. So while it's not $10,000, it is still a good story. And you can probably get people who might hate Dr. Saperstein to buy you things like drinks or lunches because you tell them that story. Something to consider.
Note to self, collect more stories.
Yeah, that'll do it. So Tom gets his investors together. His investors include Jerry, Ron, April, and Andy, and starts breaking out the profit. And Jerry gets his. He says, "Ah, wow, good to be Larry." And Tom's response is, "No, it's not, you boring grandpa." But Tom made $32,000.
That kid.
He's basically a millionaire.
He's mogulling it up.
Yeah,
Add that with his commish. Yeah, his cabin commission, and dude.
Yeah, those cough drops. So good. So good. So April asks, "What are you going to do with the money?" And Tom says, "A horrible man recently gave me some great advice. For years, I've been coming up with my own ideas like some sort of non-rich idiot. Now I'm going to let people come to me and to invest my Skrilla in the best idea I hear." And Ron is excited because that's capitalism at work, doing the work there for him. And Ron's like, "Come with me. I need your grandfatherly advice." And Donna's like, "You think everybody here's a grandfather?" It's like, "Well, if you're older than me, you're a grandpa. And if you are a grandpa, you're dead." So
that sounds right.
Yeah. April's like, "That sounds right." And then Jerry figures out that the check is made out to Lenny. He's like, that's not actually my name. And April gets up, like, well, just tell it to the bank, Lenny. So, am I
He's like,
Lenny
oh,
now?
am I Lenny?
Uh, so they go to Rent a Swag's empty building before it becomes a Spirit Halloween store, and uh, they start having ideas. And so the first guy comes to pitch an idea for, um, just to try to. His idea is to make a phone bicus, but April is like, "You got to hurry up, hurry up, hurry up! Money is power, power is pizza, pizza is knowledge. Let's go." And so he pitches his idea for the Phobicus, and Ron points out that that is basically a calculator. And he's like, yeah,
But
but you're talking about it.
you're talking about it.
The next person comes in for an automated word counter, which would have been really helpful when Ron was giving advice to Chris about the number of words in a conversation. Because as you talk, it says the number of words. And uh, they hate this idea. So Tom's just like, get out. 2 words. No, 1 word. And then Jerry comes with what he believes to be the cure, the solution for the global energy problem, to make clean, renewable energy. He made it in his garage. And then he sneezes as he fires up the machine, and he sneezes on everybody, and they freak out and they hate it. And Tom's like, I'm not going to buy that. It's covered in a gallon of your boogers. Which I don't know how big this sneeze really was. If
That's
it's
a
a
lot of
gallon
boogers.
of boogers. And which, as I was watching this, I was like, how would I even calculate how many sneezes it would take to fill a gallon of sneeze juice?
Well, I think you'd have to, do, you'd have to sample every time you sneezed and see
Right.
how much each one weighed, and then just extrapolate it to a gallon.
Right. Ballpark. What do you think it would be? How many sneezes would it take to get a gallon of boogers?
10,000. No, that was the offer. So many.
Because it's not that much. It's like it's an aerosol spray coming out of your face, right?
Yeah, like 100,000.
You think so? 100,000?
200,000.
Well, I mean, and if you are not like a repeat sneezer, you're at a disadvantage because whatever gets in your gallon collection system might evaporate before you sneeze again. So people who like sneeze 3 times in a row, like they could get there faster, right? It might be the same amount of sneezes, but they'll be done with the gallon project earlier.
I think the hardest thing is just, figuring out like when are you gonna sneeze? Like, when is the next time? Like, are you trying to trigger sneezes on purpose? Are you just sitting there like sniffing pepper, or or are you just like carrying this thing? It's like, what's in the backpack? Oh, this is my sneeze collector. So because
why is that milk jug?
You never know.
Like one little line of liquid in there. I've been sneezing in there for 3 weeks. Everywhere I go, you carry it on a carabiner on your belt loop.
Yeah, it's like an Nalgene bottle.
Yeah, but you got to get a funnel to sneeze into. So stupid.
I think like one of those like CPAP masks. So just really collect, really capture it all.
Yes, that's the only way. The only way. So, all right.
Well,
it will, for listeners, if you have some better ideas, let us know.
What's your guess for amount of sneezes for a gallon? Right in.
How to collect the sneeze juice.
Right. We'll let everybody know who's the closest.
Who's the closest? Like we know. Yeah. So
it's like a sneeze jar.
It's like the reverse. Like how many marbles are in the jar? It's how many things you can't see will fill this thing up that you also can't see. Let us know. And you can let us know at email us parksandconversation@gmail.com. That would be great. And tell your friends about this, or your enemies if you think this is really stupid. And say, yeah, haha, got you. So they don't buy Jerry's stuff, and everybody, It's not going well. So Tom's frustrated because he heard 100 pitches and they're all terrible. And so he's making his own ideas, but it starts with April, like, you guys do it. And so April's like, macaroni and poison, mac and cheese, but with a special ingredient. And Ron has a revolutionary idea about socket sets. Every set he's ever purchased only goes up to half inch. I love to go larger sizes, take it all the way to 5/8. And the way he looks, like 5/8 with like
Mm-hmm.
ta-da.
It's a full eighth over half inch.
Yeah, it's
It
almost as
slam
exciting.
some 16ths in there.
Boom! Yes, it's almost as exciting as Ben's pitch for dry cleaning fluid handling that we'll get to later. But you know, I I do not like that when you buy a a socket set. It is frustrating when you find something that's just outside of your range of what's available, and so you have to go to Lowe's or Home Depot and buy one socket. That's annoying. So I get Ron's frustration, but maybe Ron and I are alone in this world.
You need a
Maybe.
bigger socket set.
I guess so. So Ron's like, well, this is not great, but I've missed an entire day of work, so at least some good came up from this. so, uh, so Tom's got some of his own ideas working as they're back in the office. The talking tissue, every time you pull one out, it gives you a little message to hype yourself up. Blow that nose. So it pulls one out, and you hear Tom's voice say, "Blow that nose, playa." And it's not a good idea. And then April is like, I get why you're bummed out. I mean, look at me. I'm younger than you, and I already have my own department. Plus, I'm married, and I make more money than you. So she's encouraging him. And Tom's like, yeah, whatever. You just merged your department and made something up. And she's like, yeah, it's awesome. And so it's a good. April is a smart person. So Tom takes April's idea and runs into Ron's office with great drama, and says, "I have some great news. You're looking at Pawnee's new business liaison." And Ron doesn't like French words, but it does like business. So he explains, and it's basically, hey, people are moving here because of the merger, and I want to help them, convince them to like start their businesses, move their businesses here in Pawnee. And Ron says that's a good idea. And then Tom pitches the talking tissue with Ron, and Ron hates it. And so pulls one out though, and you hear Tom's voice, "Yo, dog, life is what you make of it." And Ron just shakes his head. No. Pulls another one. "You got it. Clear them sinuses, Playboy." Ron keeps pulling. "Someone's got the sniffies. Tell your mama you love her. Step up your vitamin C game, bro." So all hyped up messages for sneezing.
I love how they go back and forth between like health related ones and just pure like good at like let your mom know you love her. Like has nothing to do with sneezing or being sick, unless you're saying like, hey, you might die soon because who knows what you have that you're sneezing so much.
We don't know how much time you have, sir. The sneezing has filled up this whole gallon. So I wonder though if that was what Jerry's sneezing is what inspired Tom's idea. So Jerry is not bad for everything. And we'll never know if
that is genius. That is such a. But had he already shown that in the beginning to April at the desk?
No.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, you nailed it.
So Jerry is like constantly giving good ideas to people. He's just never going to get the credit for it.
Yeah,
well, I should back up. He's giving ideas because the talking tissue is a bad idea.
That's true. Yeah.
What we need is a tissue like that, like deadens noise.
Because I think that's called a blanket.
Or leaving the room.
This is my sneeze blanket.
So gross. That's disgusting. I just don't like blowing my nose in front of other people. Like I would avoid it at all costs, or just have snot fly down my face. Like I just hate. Like those are the options. And so I think and
the aftermath of blowing your nose, like, I hope I got everything because it's probably worse off than when I started.
Yeah. Now, here's a question for you. And
Yeah.
listener, this trigger alert, this might be gross. Trigger warning? I don't know. Do you look in the Kleenex when after you blow your nose?
Oh man.
The
I
correct
think it
answer
depends.
is yes.
Well, no, well, hold on, because it depends upon how sick I am. Like at the very beginning, it's like, oh wow, look what I did. It's like, hey, that's good job, man. You really produced some stuff there. But
I'm
then,
sure you
like,
got it
if it's
all.
like the, but if it's like the 10th, like, I'm sick, and no, at that point, I'm just like, let's get it all out. Keep going. I'm not looking at
Yeah.
anything. I mean, only to check to see if you, like, how people say, oh, if it's really green and yellow, like you might have an infection or something, versus
I've
like
heard
if it's
that.
clear. I don't know if that's true.
I don't know either, but I look every time just to make sure there's no brain in there. So,
It's a good call.
like if I see brain chunks,
Yeah.
I'm
What
gonna
would you
call my
do?
mom. Call my mom,
Yeah.
tell her I love her.
See,
So,
that's why you
I
need. It's a great idea.
I had
It's a
this
good.
talking
It's
tissue box that told me what to do
right.
when I have terminal sneezes. So,
Terminal
yeah.
sneezes. Dibs on band name.
You would have to be like Dr. Gesundheit and the terminal sneezes.
So this whole time I've been trying to find out like how much snot is in a sneeze, and I can't find it. But there's all these like really funny Quora questions and stuff, and one of them is, how many times can you sneeze before you die?
Is there an answer?
Oh no, because I already looked up something on Quora, and they're just like, "Oh, you only get the question now. For the rest of it, you got to pay for it."
Oh, yeah.
Thanks,
I hate the
Quora.
internet sometimes. It's like this is the kind of information that wants to be free, but you've put it behind a Quora paywall. Come on. Ask those questions on Reddit where people can answer with always 100% accuracy.
Exactly.
Always. Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about Leslie's story. How about?
Okay.
So it starts with Ben coming into the office, asking everybody to remember that this is the last day for Leslie as city councilor. So everybody be extra supportive. Ron says, I've already started. I gave her a kind nod. And Ben
Mm-hmm.
is just so moved. It's just heartwarming.
Heartwarming.
And so he's also like, I'm thinking about a gift to cheer her up. And so I was like, you want a sorry you lost your dream job gift? That's a tough one. And, and stay away from wine. Wine is crying juice. So, and yeah, so Jerry's like, well, you know her, you know what to get her. And Ben just fires off a nice candle. I'm screwed. And then Andy gets up, is still dealing with jet lag, and proceeds to pee in the corner of something. Not the corner of the room, just an area where two desks come together. And I hope there's a garbage can there. But
I'll be
everybody
right
freaks
out.
Yeah, he's like, I'll be right out.
At least he's
So,
polite about it. Like he's letting them know.
yeah. And then Leslie is taking Ingrid to city council chambers to let her know this is her way home away from home. And technically, her home away from home is in Zurich. But this is nice too. And so then we have a talking head with Leslie trying to say about how this is her last day. And it's really hard for her to do this. But, she's trying to make it happen. And so she says how she's processed all her feelings, the 5 stages of grief, denial, anger, internet commenting, cat adoption, African dance, cat returning to adoption place, watching all of the show. Oh, why does it keep cutting off on me? That's annoying. A professional podcaster probably would have done this ahead of time. Wrap text incel. All the episodes of Murphy Brown. Which is a good show. And not giving a flying fart. So those are the stages of grief.
I think that's 8, isn't it?
I didn't count. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes. Yeah. I would love to get to the not giving a flying fart stage of grief. Not giving a flying fart. Yeah. So Leslie thinks she's fine, but it's difficult. And Ingrid, they cut back to the council, and Ingrid's like, I know this must be hard, but as Sir Ian McKellen said to me the day I sold my boat to Carl Lagerfield, parting is such sweet sorrow. What?
What even is your life?
That's a great question. There are so many people who know people that like drop stuff like that in conversations. It's super annoying. It's like, yes, I know you know famous people, but that has nothing to do
Well,
with your mini golf score right now, sir.
easy, Mister. I know people who know people. Geez, way to
Yes.
vaguely drop pronouns. I mean, geez, I know a guy
I know so many
who
guys.
knows somebody who knows the ball boy on the Seahawks.
Do you?
No,
Actually, I did know somebody who worked on the sideline for the Seahawks.
I knew it. Just
Kellen Smith. I was at a game and I saw him down there, and I was like, Kellen, what are you doing? And he's like,
I'm
I work
working
here. Oh, okay. So it was funny. It was weird. I hadn't seen him for years, and then there he is. Like, right, Kellen. Right on. Yeah. So
did you ask him if he wanted to catch up? Like,
no, he was working. And I was also working because at the time it was Quest Field. When I go to Quest Field, I go to work, and I have my yelling that I have to do on when the Seahawks are on defense, and then telling everybody else to shut up when the Seahawks are on offense.
it's a big responsibility.
Someone's got to do it, and more people have been calling out sick to the games, selling their tickets because they thought Geno Smith was going to be garbage. Turns out, not garbage, yeah, so the last season, so many times, people cheering while the offense is setting up their plays. Just, I just don't know. I put in the work all these years, Jeremy, and
I know you do. I know.
And then these people come along and they think they own the place because they paid for those seats that they're sitting in for that one game. And I don't know. I don't know, man. Maybe we need to sing Goodbye Yellow Brick Road.
I'm getting closer.
Closer to what?
Sneezes commonly range from 0.5 to 5. What's the UM? That's the microns, right? A sneeze can produce 40,000 droplets. Guys, okay. I'm gonna figure this out. I'm gonna concentrate on this episode a little bit more, but this is what happens. I get on a thing and I gotta figure it out. So next episode, my goal is to try to figure out within a few microns at least how many sneezes can fill. Did you say a gallon? That seems like a lot.
That's okay. That's the measurement that Tom gave us.
Okay, I'm closing this tab. All right, where are we at?
Okay. Well, they were going to sing, and then cut back to Ben, and he's going to order a singing telegram for his wife, something sad and slow, maybe something from the Requiem for a Dream soundtrack. And then he hangs up. This is a bad idea. Bye. And so,
hey, that was made by the Seattle Kronos Quartet. They performed the Requiem for a Dream
of our Dream soundtrack. I did not know that.
Yeah,
good to know.
Go Seattle.
Go Seattle Quartet. So Leslie comes with a box of stuff talking about how Ingrid has settled into the office, and but she left some salt packets, so maybe she needs to go back for those salt packets. And Ben's like, I've told you before, there will be other salt packets, but not the kind that snap in half. And so,
which one was the last time you saw one of those?
A salt packet?
No, like a snap in half one, like the two tubes. Right, they're in that little paper.
Yeah,
like about. On an airplane. I think pretty much that's the only.
It seems inefficient. You break it in half, and like it all just falls right in one place on your food. Is that what that does?
I think so.
Add salt to food, so
yeah, no, it has enough salt.
Yeah, food generally has enough salt. I don't know. I grew up in a house where one of my parents, she put salt on everything. Way too much salt on everything. And hey, maybe I just got turned off on salt. I was like, no, thanks.
So much salt.
Yeah. I don't want to say who, but she had a lot of salt on her food.
His eggs are rubbery.
Yeah. So, but Ben is like, look, this is the best thing for you. maybe we'll find something better. And then it cuts to Pert Hapley outside of City Hall, where City Council Dexhart is addressing his latest sex scandal. And Dexhart is like, yeah, I want to set the record straight. I did all of it. And Ben and Leslie are like, another one? This guy's unbelievable. And we find out that he was involved in inappropriate texting, sexting, and text-mexting, which is where you send photos of your junk from the restroom of a Chili's to go. And it cuts to Ben and Leslie both going, huh. So gross. And then Dexar just continues reading. Does this make me a bad boy? You tell me. No, really, it gets me off when women tell me that. And I was like, he's reading this. Like these are his prepared remarks. And so this is where she has the idea. Look, I can beat this guy. And so she begins the process of, in her own brain, of running for city council to take Dexhart's place. And so she's like, we could just get an apartment in his district. We'll spend 51% of our time there. It'll be great. And Ben's like, I don't want to live there. It's a raccoon shanty town. It's a dumping ground for old shipping containers. and then also like Dexhart fights dirty, and it's going to be scorched earth. And it's like, so what? I got so much dirt on him. He's a scumbag. I can do this. And so she is engaged mentally. So she goes to the press, Shauna Malway Tweep. And Shauna's like, I don't know. I don't think there's a story in these emails. They're iffy, but Dexhart's been elected 8 times. I don't think anybody cares. His polls numbers actually went up since the scandal broke.
Of course.
Because he's Miley Cyrus's cousin. And he's like, Shauna's like, oh, is he? And then Councilman walks by. He's like, morning, Leslie. Morning, sweet jugs. And Shauna's like, I'm like, oh, wow, attention. and Leslie's like, what are you doing? He's like, well, he's kind of cute. So
I just feel like I could fix him, you know?
Oh, no. So funny.
No, Shauna, run away.
He is unfixable. So then
did you learn nothing from khaki pants?
Khaki pants. Oh, Mark. So then back in Leslie's office, she's up to something. And Ben comes in, is like, what are you doing? And she's like, well, they couldn't make me a banner in time for my press conference. So I'm calling together a banner from all the other discarded banners. So she went to Banner Store and was like, whatever you're not using, I'll take. And so she's making a ransom letter banner for city council. And what it says is second chunts for FOUR Lessel perv dex x hurt equals birthday mouse rat.
A rat.
And he's like, well, that's the closest thing I could get to a rat. And so Ben's like, listen to yourself, Leslie. Loopholes, scorched earth. This isn't you. And Leslie's like, no, this sex scandal happening on the damn leaving. This is not a coincidence. It was meant to be. And so Ben's like, let's get everybody together and see what they say. So it's like a focus group, and Leslie's on board. So she gets everybody together. I have a big announcement. We're going to run for re-election, and I'm going to take Dexhart's seat. And Tom says, no offense, that's a bad idea. I heard a lot of bad ideas today. This is the worst. April, I would love it if you ran an insane campaign and basically turned into the Joker, but that means you probably shouldn't do it. And Andy is like, seems risky. I'd hate to go through another tough fight, but I could be wrong. I haven't pooped in 3 days.
His judgment's, I mean, way off.
Man, international travel though, it does a lot of work on your gutty works for sure. So,
on everything.
Yeah, it's a mess. One time I went to Uruguay, and I know Andy's pain, so that was rough. And then Ron says, Leslie, I don't think you should run again. And I was like, what do you know, dum dum? And then Jerry comes in and is like, Leslie, you're running for office. What a great idea. How can I help? And that's the nail in the coffin. It's like, oh, right. This is a bad idea. So Ben is like, I still think I can help you. I got something for you. And he brought Jen Barkley, political consultant and power broker, to give 1 hour of her time consulting Leslie for this campaign.
It was Jennifer Barkley all along.
Yes, of course it was. Yeah, and And so Leslie starts by saying, "How is your family?" And Jen is like, "I get paid $1,200 an hour. Do you really want to spend any of that time talking about my mother and her 19-year-old Korean husband?"
But it's
No,
enough to
you're
make
right.
Leslie. But it's enough to make Leslie pause and go, "Well, I mean, kind of."
Yeah, that sounds super interesting. Yeah, so Leslie is sharing all of these things about what she wants to do, and is like, "This is a good idea, right?" And Jen just says, "No, it's a terrible idea, uh, because you can lose to him. Terrible people beat good people all the time." And 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 she's like, "You know what? You're smart. Ben's smart. You might win, but why would you want to? Have a better dream for your life." And so she's like, "You could work for." Federal jobs, you could work for Congress, these are all things that are doable for you. But you got to dream bigger than just Pawnee. And so she's, giving her this great pep talk. And then an alert goes off. She's like, "Oh, my time's up. If you want to keep talking, you're going to have to pay me $1,200 more dollars. I just need," and I was like, I swear to God, if you say one more word, you legally owe me $1,200 and I will sue you. Let's not end like that. So she's like putting things back together and like, "You want to put this back? Don't answer." And then she's like, "Those 5 words are on me. Okay, bye." um, so yeah. So Ben is like, "I don't know what you're thinking, but you have a press conference in 10 minutes. So let's go to the press conference." And announces her plans for the future include going to have lunch at JJ's. They're going to have waffles. And then her and her husband are going to make out on the couch. And Ben is like, "All right, that sounds good." Um, and so
I would be so upset for this person wasting my time if I was a reporter / the media. Like, you called this press
yeah,
conference for what? Come on, man. I feel like
to
this could have
brag
been
about
handled
waffles,
right. And that you have a significant other. Thanks. Like, I feel like this could have been handled in an email.
probably. But Purd sums it up pretty well here when he
Mhm.
says, "There you have it, a shockingly unshocking press conference in which a recently unemployed woman said nothing of importance. I'm Purd Hapley, and I just realized I'm not holding my microphone."
Now, be honest. The first time you saw this, did you notice that he wasn't holding a microphone?
No.
I did not. I did not either. Even actually, and then the last time I watched it, I did not notice it either.
Until he says, "I'm not holding my microphone."
Yes,
It's
I
like,
was like, "Wait, he's
"Oh,
not."
yeah."
Oh, no, you're
But
laughing into the next scene. That was such a great joke.
I think it's part of they're playing with expectations, but you watch somebody on television, you're not expecting somebody to hold a microphone,
Right,
right?
but he just has
Because
his
they're on a
hand up,
TV show.
like
Yeah.
right.
But
They should be mic'd
so
up
it's like
like a lapel mic.
he should have a mic in that hand because he's holding it like he
Right,
should. But at the same time, your brain is accepting like he's a part of this show. He doesn't need to have a microphone. They got him all taken
right.
care of. But then the realism is like, no, if he's actually on TV, he needs a
Reporting, right?
microphone to get his
Exactly.
audio into the camera. So yeah, it's a whole thing. Yeah, so they Ben's like, "Look, uh, well, Leslie says that was the best present I could have gotten," and Ben's like, "Well, that's great. I got you something else." And they're sitting up on the bench in front of the flowers that like really started their whole relationship. Like it's like a beautiful moment. And Leslie's like, "Well, where is this gift?" "Well, it's not here. We have to go get it." And so then they fly to Paris and have a great time in Paris, spending their money and enjoying their company. But then also at the cafe, you see Mike Schur sitting right next to Leslie. Real quick, just a quick shot. There's Mike Schur. So yeah, so they go to Paris, and it is just a wonderful time away to wrap up Leslie's term as city councilor.
Do you think they shot this during the London episodes?
That would make the most sense since they're already there. So
Yeah.
I would hope they did. But also, I know these Hollywood types, they got all kinds of money. They're going to spend
Well,
it.
NBC, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, NBC is just flush with cash, right? They've got
Why
hits
is there
like
money in the toilet?
they've got hits like God Cop and Homonym.
Sense.
No, the other
Nope.
one.
No, the other one.
It's always the other one.
Sense. Oh, you get a redo. It's the third one. Dang it.
It's always the other one. I love
It's
that. And
always the other one.
Steve Higgins as the game show host. It's so good. It's so good.
30
Oh,
Rock,
man.
people. 30 Rock.
I love that show. So, yeah, Jeremy, did you find any trivia on this episode in your internet searches?
Oh boy, howdy! Did I click on the tab trivia in IMDb? Yeah. Well, Amy and Michael Schur wrote this episode, and after that, nothing really super interesting enough to talk about. You already mentioned that Michael Schur was in it at the end, so yeah, that's about it.
All right. All right. Well, good.
So, yeah, next week or next episode, I should say, because we never know if and when we will record, is New Beginnings, season 6, episode 11. Leslie battles with Tom on her first day back with the Parks Department. The gang pranks Ben on his first day as city manager, and Chris and Ann shop for a ring after their engagement.
Oh, man. Is this the one with Stews?
Directed by Alan Yang. Stews. I don't know, man. There's only one way to find out. Come back.
We'll have to
and
come
listen
back next week.
next episode. And
yes, sir.
Yeah, weigh in on Snotgate. You know, we need your input.
Yeah.
I don't know. Not Snotgate. That's, I don't know. Sneezegate. That's much better.
Gallon of boogers.
All right. And in the meantime,
figure out how many sneezes it would take to create a gallon of boogers.
Well, until then, I will talk to you later.
All right. Yeah. See ya.
Bye.